Karoline Leavitt stepped into a talk show, but by the end, it was the host who found himself under scrutiny. The youngest White House press secretary in history stood in the middle of the briefing room in Washington, D.C., on a warm afternoon when her phone buzzed. An email popped up on the screen, an invitation to the Derek Vance show. Derek Vance, a name that made even seasoned politicians hesitate. His show was a televised coliseum where guests either triumphed or were torn apart by razor-sharp, sarcastic questions. Leavitt frowned, her hand still skimming through notes for the next press briefing. You should decline. Sarah Smith, her assistant, whispered beside her, eyes glued to her iPad screen. He'll twist everything you say. Last week, he made a senator cry. Leavitt gave a small smile, not looking up. She knew Vance well, the host who thrived on spectacle, turning interviews into a battlefield. At 27, a mother to an 8-month-old boy and the voice of the Trump administration, she was no stranger to pressure. But this was a different kind of challenge. The PR team had warned her, but her eyes glinted. If he wants to play, I'll play, she thought. She turned to Sarah, her voice firm. Tell him I'm in. Sarah's jaw dropped. But Leavitt was already back to work, a faint smile crossing her lips. A week later, Karoline Leavitt stepped out of a sleek black SUV parked in front of a modern studio in downtown Washington, D.C. A cold breeze swept through her blonde hair, but her gaze was sharp, unwavering. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed like an arena before battle. A circular stage blazed with LED lights, rows of seats packed with eager, skeptical faces. The Derek Vance show wasn't just a program. It was where reputations were made or shattered. Sarah trailed behind her, clutching her iPad like a shield. Are you sure about this? She asked, her voice shaky. He once made a CEO walk off mid-interview. Leavitt didn't answer right away. Her heels clicked rhythmically on the marble floor as she strode into the green room. The space was quiet, almost suffocating, save for the distant hum of the studio. A large screen on the wall replayed old clips of Derek Vance, a senator, red-faced, squirming under pressure, a CEO, fumbling as Vance mocked his company's plummeting stock prices, a Hollywood actor, stone-faced, while Vance chuckled. You think you're a big deal. Huh? Leavitt's lips twitched. She saw the pattern. Vance didn't seek truth. He sought drama. Sarah interrupted her thoughts, setting a water bottle on the table. They say you're on in 10 minutes. I still think this is a mistake. Leavitt picked up the bottle, twisting it lightly in her hands. He wants a game, she murmured. Then I'll play, but on my terms. Sarah sighed, stepping back as Leavitt stood, smoothing her fitted black blazer. She wasn't a CEO or an actor. She was the White House press secretary, a survivor of brutal briefings and campaign days on 4 hours of sleep. Vance might be a nightmare to others, but to her, he was just another challenge. The green room door swung open. A crew member with a headset appeared. 5 minutes. Miss Leavitt. She took a deep breath, straightening her sleeves. She hadn't flinched facing the press. She hadn't flinched when Trump narrowly escaped an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, and she certainly wouldn't flinch now. The stage doors opened. Karoline Leavitt stepped into the blinding lights to a mix of applause and murmurs. The heat of the spotlights hit her, highlighting her petite frame in a sharp black suit. Across from her, Derek Vance rose from behind his sleek, imposing desk, a grin spreading across his face. The grin of a predator scenting blood. Karoline Leavitt, he boomed, arms spread wide like a Roman gladiator master of ceremonies. She nodded slightly, shaking his hand. A brief, firm grip, no warmth. Then she sat in the chair opposite him as the audience hushed, the show's theme music fading. Vance leaned forward, his chin resting on his hand. eyes gleaming with mischief. "Welcome to my show. Caroline," he began, voice smooth but edged with steel. "The youngest press secretary in history. 27 years old. The voice of Donald Trump, or more like his loudspeaker." Scattered laughter rippled through the crowd. A few whistles cut the air. Leavitt's expression didn't change. She met his gaze with an even, unshaken stare. "You can call me whatever you want." "Derek," she replied, her tone steady. "But I'm here to tell the truth, not to please you." A few audience members clapped. But Vance didn't flinch. He tapped his fingers lightly on the desk, his grin widening. "The truth? Huh?" His voice sharpened. "Let's get to it then. You and Trump just banned Reuters and AP from a first cabinet meeting. What's going on? Is the White House scared of press?" Leavitt tilted her head slightly, unfazed, not scared. "Derek," she answered, "selective. We invite people who actually report, not ones who twist everything against the president." Newsmax and Bloomberg were still there. The audience murmured, some nodding, but Vance smirked. Unsatisfied. "Selective," he echoed, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Sound more like control. Don't you think that's dangerous? A government deciding who gets to speak?" Leavitt shrugged lightly, gaze unwavering. "Dangerous is when the media thinks it can shape the truth. Derek, we just changed the guest list in a cramped room. You act like it's the end of the world." A ripple of laughter came from the crowd, but Vance didn't join in. He tapped the desk harder, pivoting. "Fine, let me ask this," he said, voice rising. "You're blindly loyal to Trump. People say that. Do you ever think for yourself? Or just parrot what he tells you?" The air grew heavier. The audience held its breath. Leavitt leaned forward, folding her hands together. Her voice was calm. "Derek," she said, "if I were blindly loyal, I wouldn't be here. I came because I don't back down. Unlike some politicians you've had on this stage, I don't run when the heat turns up. So let's get one thing straight. If you're looking for a soundbite, you won't get one. If you're looking for a debate, let's dance." The studio erupted. Applause. Shouts. Gasps. Derek Vance opened his mouth. But for the first time on his own show, he hesitated. "And Karoline Leavitt?" She smiled.